show is back. The ZNT wrestling show is back, and so is Tomas's face.
The most must-see face in all of YouTube and
God.
wrestling.
Okay, we're getting Miz over here. He's a less famous Miz.
Oh, I'm a less famous Miz compared to MJF.
Jesus.
But we're not talking AEW tonight. No. We're going to save that for a huge smorgasbord we have for you guys at the ending of the year. Stay tuned for that. But tonight we are looking at Vengeance 2003, our latest in our retrospective. And, you know, as much as I love watching Armageddon 2000, I'm really, really excited to get back into our retrospective, getting through these 2003 shows, because unlike Bad Blood, this is the first SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, and SmackDown delivered with this show.
This was a fucking great show is what it was. I would honestly argue, you guys are going to notice a theme by the end of this, but I honestly think this is top 3 pay-per-views of 2003, bar none. I mean, I think it was an entertaining show from top to bottom. Yeah, there were a couple of, matches here and there, but for the most part, this card really, really delivered, and it's a stacked card too. I mean, looking at it on paper, like there's a dream match on here that Tomas I know is ready to talk about later on. But in any case, my friends, yes, as Tomas mentioned, we are going to be doing a huge smorgasbord of AEW content. If that's where Winter is Coming thoughts will be, in case you're wondering. And Tomas is very excited to introduce a new segment on that show. Stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of controversy.
I'll make a lot of people mad. But here's the thing, though. I'm not going to dig into this too much, but apparently I'm not alone. Apparently there's a lot of people that share my opinion with some, the obvious thing that happened on that show. But it's definitely a, Sharks versus Jets kind of thing. It's either take your side and, it is what it is.
Absolutely.
We're going to go rumble in the streets later.
Yeah, we'll go rumble in the streets and maybe hopefully get Steven Spielberg to direct it. But obviously, I do have, my cinema reviews. So if you guys are into all this stuff in entertainment, it's a lot of like a big smorgasbord. I like that word, a smorgasbord of content over here on my channel. So go ahead and smash that subscribe button if you're new. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Honestly, I've accepted that we're not going to reach that number by the end of the year. It's just not possible, unfortunately. But hey, I'm hoping we can reach the number very soon for sure. But hit that thumbs up button on your way out as well, because I'm sure Tomas and I are going to be praising this show out the wazoo. There's going to be a lot of fun discussions as well. But Vengeance 2003 takes place on July 27th that year from the Pepsi Arena in Denver, Colorado. Shout out to my buddies Leo, Larry, and Ryan over here on the cinema part of the channel. Expect them back very soon. But in any case, this is a stacked SmackDown exclusive show. They were in a weird spot because Hulk Hogan had just resigned from WWE after creative differences. So there was a big hole in their roster that we'll get to. But I mean, this was still a very, very, very good show.
I was just going to say, did it even matter that Hulk Hogan's presence wasn't on this show?
No.
Because think about it. The last pay-per-view he was on technically was Judgment Day, and we didn't have a lot of nice things to say about Judgment Day. So this is definitely a case of the in-ring matches, the in-ring work of this show definitely made up for a lack of star power. I mean, we had star power on the last pay-per-view, Bad Blood, and see how well that did. Quality over quantity, my friends. Quality
100.
over quantity.
Yes.
And that's a perfect segue into this opener. And if you have noticed, ever since the draft, kind of finally set place and Raw brought back the Intercontinental title, there was no mid-card title on SmackDown. So the genius Stephanie McMahon, like she did with the tag team titles, revived the United States Championship, now called the WWE United States Championship. And just like the tag team titles the year prior, a big tournament was held on SmackDown. This is how you book a tournament. I'm going back to the Deadly Games.
Hey,
this is how you book a tournament.
Hold up. Tournaments are the best way to do things. I agree. The Deadly Game is freaking awesome. But yeah, no, I'll take it.
And this is a point I've wanted to get into with these retrospectives. And when they started doing brand exclusive pay-per-views, this is a perfect way to book TV. WWE, why don't you learn from your own history? While Raw was building up to Bad Blood the month prior, SmackDown was able to breathe a little and build some more bigger storylines like this tournament. For the past 8 weeks, they have been slowly doing tournament matches on TV just so it could all culminate in this big finale that would be Vengeance. I like that kind of booking. When WWE brought back the split branded pay-per-views in 2016, it really broke my heart to see that they were going to do 2 pay-per-views a month instead of letting Raw and SmackDown build to some bigger TV matches, let some storylines, kind of slowly get the build. You know how wrestling is nowadays. Everyone wants their instant gratification. We don't have that. Well, I like the way TV was booked back then.
And WWE wanted their content as well. They weren't as concerned about like ratings and all that stuff. They were all about, let's get as much hours of content on the network as possible. So we'll go 2 pay-per-views a month, motherfuckers. But yes. Yeah. To your point, every match in this tournament mattered, including this final match, which was actually the longest match on the show, Tomas.
Yeah, here we go. In the tournament finals, it's Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero, who is now flying solo since him and Tajiri lost the tag team titles back to the world's greatest tag team. More on that later. He's running solo with the lowrider against Crispin Wah in the finals of this United States Championship tournament. The first thing I want to point out, this is a face versus face matchup, but in this scenario, Eddie Guerrero is playing more of the tweener / heel in this build-up.
So odd.
Yeah. They show some of the build-up on SmackDown, and it's just more of, Eddie trying to get the one-up over Benoit, and Benoit is, straight shooting white meat babyface in this matchup.
This crowd wanted to cheer Eddie Guerrero so bad, but he was being such a jerk in this context against Crispin Wah. But I mean, we've covered this match already, with an Armageddon 2002 match. That was the best match on that show. This is honestly my match of the night for Vengeance 2003, and there's a lot of contenders for that, as you'll notice. These two just always put magic together. I feel like...
And if you remember when we talked about a certain match at the Royal Rumble earlier this year, I fucking hated that Triple H and Scott Steiner got the whole referee brings them 2 in the middle. This is a world championship match. But this match got that treatment. Yes. This match got the treatment, and it deserved it because it is a tournament finals match for a championship that is brand new to the WWE. So yes, it got, 2 wrestlers meet in the middle, 1 fall to a finish. I want this to be a clean fight, old school boxing mentality. Here's my thing. If you're going to do that with 1 world championship match, do it with every single one. Now Triple H and Steiner are just that fucking ugly duckling that got that treatment for whatever goddamn reason.
Yeah. See, I thought you were going to hate that Mike Chioda had to explain the rules before the match. And I was like,
I loved it because it made sense. In this context, it made sense.
Interesting, for sure. But
I want them to do that with every vacated title.
Nah.
But
I mean, Triple H and Steiner wasn't even for the vacant title. Triple H was the reigning champion going into it, but this is a vacant championship. This is to determine the first ever in this lineage, the United States champion. The last one, I believe, was Edge before the invasion angle ended. But here we have...
in the WCW lineage, Edge is the final United States. And that's a weird statement to say. That's like the fact saying that Ezekiel Jackson is the final ECW champion ever. I know there's a lot of ECW fanatics that'll say that does not count. Taz is the final ECW champion, and I'll let you have that one. I will let you have that one gladly.
Absolutely, for sure. But I mean, this is Crispin Wah versus Eddie Guerrero. Like, what else were you expecting? There are suplexes everywhere. Benoit is extremely intense. Eddie Guerrero, who there were a lot of signs in the crowd that said Eddie should win an Oscar, which the actor in me was very happy to see, just because this is where we really started getting Eddie lying, cheating, and stealing. He was trying to, use like weapons to his advantage. He was hitting the referee with the championship while he was down. And then there's a point later in the match where Benoit is just unconscious. Eddie puts the title belt on Benoit. Eddie lays down and tries to wake Mike Chioda up as if Benoit hit him with the title. It was fantastic.
There were some really good commentary moments in this match too, and I'll get to that point right now. But earlier on in the match, I think Cole said something that I have never heard a commentator say before. He mentions the fact that they were wrestling in Denver and it's very high altitude, and he asked Taz how that would affect the competitors. WWE, can we get that kind of commentary back in our matches?
Very true.
I want that shit. I don't want to hear the Three Stooges on Monday Night Raw bantering about Pizza Hut and, stupid shit that Vince is feeding there. Let them actually be broadcasters. When I heard that call, I was like, that's a good point. Nobody would ever think about that. But this is 2003. You have 2 technical wrestlers going at it. Stuff like that matters, and I really like that. I also like the call when you brought up when Eddie hit Kyoto with the belt. And then Taz was saying like, "Oh, the referee won't wake up," and Cole said like, he hit him in the kidneys with the belt. What are you expecting, Taz?
Of course, you know. Well, yeah, no, he's supposed to wake up from that, Cole. He has to referee 3 more matches later tonight, which is a weird thing. I feel like the only referees we saw tonight were Mike Chioda and Brian Hebner. That was it.
Chioda was the MVP of tonight, and they brought that up later on in the show. He had quite a night.
Yeah, he refereed this match, the main event, and Taker Cena later. But
he refereed Sable and Stephanie too, and more on that later.
Yeah, but in any case, there was, I mean, again, just textbook chain wrestling. There are intense suplexes. Benoit's going for the crippler crossface at least a gigantic handful of times, and Eddie always found a way to escape. Benoit is hitting shoulder breakers, back breakers. It looked like they were going to hit a tombstone at some point. It was fantastic. Eddie Guerrero hits 2 out of 3 amigos, and the third one, he decides to make it a superplex, which I don't remember ever happening. And I'm like,
in Taz's words, a superplex off the tippy top rope.
Well, because where else are they going to go?
Oh, yeah. And at the beginning of this match, there was, "This is boring" chant. You crowd are on crack. You would be killing for a match of this caliber in WWE nowadays. So
they weren't chanting boring, were they?
Yes, they were.
Oh
there were some rest holds really early in the match, and there were some boring chants out there. And I'm just like, you look at yourselves 20 years from now, and you're gonna call yourself stupid, considering, unfortunately, what would happen to both of these men.
Neither one of these men are no longer with us. So, you know, you should consider yourself lucky. But it gets closer to the end of the match. It gets extremely, extremely intense. Eddie Guerrero caught a piece of Crispin Wah on a frog splash. Crispin Wah gets a crossface. Guerrero is driving Benoit into the referee. And then this is where he comes out and he grabs the title. He drills Benoit in the head with it, hits the frog splash, and it's a very, very close kick out. I think that was one of the biggest strengths of this match. Either one could have won, and this crowd would have bought it, hook, line, and sinker.
Absolutely. And at the finish of this match, I don't want to say it hurt the quality of the match. I don't really think it was necessary, but it would add on to a upcoming story.
Yeah.
Also, before I get into the finish, this was really the beginning of Benoit's odyssey. People say this started at the Royal Rumble when he got that WWE Championship match. But remember, in the timeline, we're going to be getting very, very close to Royal Rumble 2004, where kind of Benoit's odyssey would culminate in him winning. So these upcoming pay-per-views are going to be very important and very, very inaugural to what Benoit's booking would be.
Yeah.
So the finish of this match comes where, like I said, referee's down. He gets hit with the title.
Yeah, the ref also, there was a point where Benoit goes for a diving headbutt on Guerrero. Guerrero pulls referee Mike Chioda into the line of fire, and Benoit hits Chioda with a diving headbutt right in the kidneys. Oh my God! Please never do that again.
He was getting his ass kicked in this match.
He really was. He really was. And then he had to go out there and referee like 5 more matches after this.
Yeah.
So.
Q Rhino, Benoit's buddy. Like we said, WrestleMania. They're tag team partners for some reason. Rhino hits the ring. It's honestly a really good spot from looking back on it,
really
because
is.
It's the classic. Everybody thinks Rhino's. I mean, Taz says right off the bat, like, "Oh, Eddie's gonna get gored right now." Rhino goes for the gore. Eddie sells it perfectly by throwing up his arms over his head, anticipating the gore. Rhino gores Benoit. Big heel turn.
Huge
honestly,
swerve.
as a kid, I did not see that coming, and I was a little awestruck over Rhino turning on Benoit. Eddie Guerrero hits the exclamation point and hits a frog splash on a lifeless Benoit.
A second
kind of
one.
makes me think, that the frog splash did not even matter, because Benoit didn't even react to it because he's dead already. That was a very poor choice of words. I'm sorry.
Oh, chill.
Anywho, Eddie Guerrero gets the pin, and Eddie Guerrero is your first ever WWE United States champion. This is a very, very historical moment.
Excellent.
Very memorable in my childhood. I remember this match. I think I ordered this pay-per-view, and this was excellent. I very much love this match. I think Ooh, you know what? Fuck it. 4.5 stars. This was excellent.
This is 4.5 stars for me as well. I feel like I would have gone 5 if the interference at the end didn't occur. But I mean, this is
But
match
it
of the
worked.
night. This is match of the night, and you can honestly make a case for that with like half of this card for the match of the night. But I mean, this is my personal favorite, and it would not stop there between Benoit and Rhino. This would start a nice little summer feud going into the fall between former tag team partners.
This is a nice little TV feud.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it got Rhino some nice exposure here and there, and you know, it's another monster for Crispin Wah to beat on the way to the top. But it's again, fitting enough for a heel to cost the babyface the match, and then letting the I don't want to call him a heel Eddie Guerrero because this crowd really wanted to cheer for him, and they found his like.
I'm glad you brought that up because, like we said in the beginning, Eddie was playing the heel for the sake of this match. And he was really a tweener because after he wins the United States Championship, from here on out, he's full-blown babyface.
Yeah, because the crowd fucking loves Eddie Guerrero. And who can blame them? Who can fucking blame them? Because Eddie Guerrero lying, cheating, and stealing, it was fucking hilarious. I remember as a kid, I was
Eddie and Chavo were already babyfaces earlier in the year, so there was really no reason for Eddie to go back. You know?
Yes.
And like we talk about with Benoit's Odyssey, this is Eddie's Odyssey too, because we know what he would do at the beginning of 2004 as well. So again, Eddie and Benoit right here, keep an eye on them throughout the year because it's important.
Yeah. So likewise, as we go into the new year 2022, as we continue these retros, take a closer look at Eddie and Benoit as we talk about them, and you'll see what we mean. But we cut backstage, and Vince McMahon is sitting at his desk smelling a big bouquet of flowers as his daughter Stephanie walks in, and they have a big argument about how the unmasked Kane over on Raw tombstoned Vince's wife Linda, which... Yes. And basically Vince is like, listen, I want to, he's trying to placate his daughter here before her big match against his mistress, Sable, which sounds very, very familiar to a 2001 storyline. So he says he got
not as good though.
No,
not as good of a storyline.
Not even
on that
close.
Later.
Not even close. But he basically says he got Steph some flowers. She looks at the big bouquet, and then Vince is like, what? Those are for Sable. I got you this little, like, he hands her this rinky-dink bouquet that you would get for like 5 cents on a side street. Like,
and you know, this is the beginning of my rant when it comes to this. It would be one thing if this was Vince doing it to like Linda, it would still be shitty. But motherfucker, that's your daughter. God damn.
You don't say, and it'll only get stranger from here between Vince and his daughter. But you want to talk about strange? How about this next storyline we're going to be talking about? We have an indecent proposal match. You heard me right, ladies and gentlemen. Indecent proposal. It's the one Billy Gunn going up against Jamie Noble, and if Jamie Noble wins, he gets a... let's just say, in friendly terms, he gets a night of thrills with Billy Gunn's woman, Tori Wilson.
So remember back in this retrospective when we said Jamie Noble has this weird, like, cuck fetish?
Yeah.
With him and his partner, Nydia, making out and sleeping with other people. That kind of reached a boiling point. So in this feud, Noble noticed Tori, and he just straight up said he wanted her. And all jokes aside, we are calling him the one Billy Gunn, but this is the reincarnated Mr. Ass Billy Gunn that made his return to SmackDown after having, it wasn't even a split off. They just decided to break up Billy and Chuck last year. And
because
Chuck would still be on the roster.
Chuck was in the FBI.
Later.
Chuck was in the FBI, so he was still there.
Columbo would end up being in the FBI. Billy Gunn had nothing to do. So instead of going back to being the one Billy Gunn, he goes back to his more popular Mr. Ass gimmick. And Billy Gunn is kind of the knight in shining armor defending Tori Wilson. This is just a weird and strange and creepy feud. Noble just brings up, Noble wants Tori, and then Tori Wilson just gives herself up and says, if you can beat Gunn at Vengeance, I will have sex with you on SmackDown.
So weird. Why would she want cameras there?
Yeah, my thoughts later on this, and we will. Usually we don't like to talk about these storylines, but the culmination of this angle is actually really fucking funny, and we will be getting into that later.
For sure. Yeah. So I mean, the match really was nothing special. The one Billy Gunn was selling his knee once again.
Real quick, before we get into the match, Noble comes out and on the microphone says, "This is my love-making case." Gunn attacks him on the ramp, and Gunn opens the case, and Noble wasn't lying. There was a lot of toys in that case that I'm surprised WWE showed on TV. It is pay-per-view, but
not pay-per-view.
When we get to the backstage segment after the match, I want to point something else out too that I am surprised did not get edited out of the Peacock version.
Right. Yeah, but there's a I mean, Billy Gunn hits his one and only and
they
slam.
Still call it that.
They did, and Taz was the one who called it, much to my pleasure for the just.
Oh yeah, and in all seriousness, Billy Gunn looked really good in this match, not just ring-wise, but physically. I mean, holy shit, this man is a specimen. He does not age.
It's a big man, little man match. Jamie Noble was doing some flying around. He was doing some of his typical technical cruiserweight style of wrestling, but he was doing some flying around, and Billy Gunn was catching him, or the one Billy Gunn in this case. But I mean, there was also a point where the one Billy Gunn hits a diamond cutter.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we started the pod. We don't know why this reincarnated Mr. Ass did not get a bigger push. And as we joked about in the Armageddon review with the one Billy Gunn, this is really a case of WWE kind of dropped the ball on Billy. When Billy Gunn was not in DX, they kind of dropped the ball on him because I do think Billy Gunn, whether he was the one or Mr. Ass, they could have went somewhere with that. I'm not saying world title status, but a serious, lengthy run with the United States title.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't be going anywhere anytime soon. And by this time next year, holy shit, he had hit rock bottom at that point.
He made it as far as the semifinals of this U.S. title tournament that we were just talking about. Eddie Guerrero had beaten him to get to the match that we just talked about. So, I mean, they definitely could have done something with the one Billy Gunn, but they just never did. And again, much like Tess, they dropped the ball with the one Billy Gunn on SmackDown. But is it just me, or is it kind of weird that there were not one, not two, but three people who were trying to make JB Noble lose, and yet he still won?
We have Gunn, who is the knight in shining armor. We have Tori Wilson, who does not want to have sex with this man. And if you didn't want to have sex with him, why'd you put yourself on the line in the match? And then you have Noble's obviously jealous girlfriend, Nydia, who comes out and tries to cost Noble the match. Despite all of that, Noble gets a roll up, Noble pulls the tights, and Noble wins the match. Tori Wilson is terrified. If Tori Wilson is terrified, that means she does not consent. So what WWE is telling us is Noble's gonna rape Tori on SmackDown. What the fuck?
Star and a half, you know. I mean, it was. I mean,
if it didn't have the gimmick, I would give this match more credit, but it's such a weird match.
They tried to do this this indecent proposal gimmick, I want to say like 5 years before this. Do you guys remember when the loose cannon Brian Pillman had a thing for Goldust's wife back in the day? And they were going.
Was that Merlina?
Yes, they were going to do an indecent proposal match. I want to say
AKA Terry Reynolds. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, they were going to do a match like this at Bad Blood 1997, but that unfortunately never materialized because of Brian Pillman's tragic death the night before the pay-per-view. So I guess this was their case of like, oh, we're going to bring this storyline back.
But why?
You know? I don't know.
Since we're on the subject, later on in the show, Noble is celebrating his win. He's a creepy little bastard, in the words of Mr. Anderson. He is looking at a Playboy magazine. And like I said, I'm surprised this was not edited out of the Peacock version. For a split second, he calls over one of the stagehands and he says, "Look at Tori Wilson. This is Playboy." I have a terrible Jamie Noble impression. But for a second,
look at Tori Wilson, boy.
Thank you. That's better. And for a full second or two, you can see, in Hulk Hogan's words, Tori Wilson and her naked butt full on the page. I'm surprised that did not get edited out of the Peacock version. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. I'm not offended by the picture. It's a fine picture. But how does if WWE and Peacock and NBC have a whole team of people that were sifting through all of this footage to edit out shit, how did that get past the filters?
Yeah.
How the fuck did that get? I'm not mad. I'm just like dumbfounded that did not get edited out, or at least blurred. Because the littlest shit on Peacock gets blurred and edited. There's a naked woman on a page of a magazine.
Yeah.
And they missed that. They fucking missed it.
No slow chemical for Kane, but we can have these pictures if you want. There you go.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not mad. I'm not offended. I'm just surprised.
Yeah, but backstage, you have an interview segment with Funaki, SmackDown #1 announcer, and he is talking to the recently returned Acolyte Protection Agency, Bradshaw, and his fresh new JBL Ronald Reagan style haircut that kind of looks like mine, oddly enough. He's back with Farouk, and they're basically talking about how, the Brooklyn Brawler had this thing, to qualify for the APA Invitational Barroom Brawl. And then Bradshaw just hands Funaki a flyer, and he says, you know what? You're invited, buddy. And I'm like,
yeah, it was more open invitation. And I know we're jumping the gun on that, but anyone can join. With that being said, it is the open invitational the APA Invitational Barroom Brawl. Now, what the fuck is that, you're asking? On the side of the stage, this was your filler match of the night. On the side of the stage, they gathered up a bunch of jobbers. They threw them in a bar. And the rules are simple. Fight until you knock everybody out.
The last one drinking in Bradshaw's words wins.
We have some entrances here from the Easter Bunny in the summertime.
The Easter Bunny. Okay, if you guys want a clever Easter egg, if you guys liked what I did there, the Easter Bunny. You're going to hate me even more. The Easter Bunny was played by the future Aaron Stevens, to WWE fans, Damian Sandow. So they were doing lame shit with him back in 2003 as well. But we also
everybody gets to start somewhere.
The Basham Brothers. You get the FBI. You get Tough Enough 3 winners Matt Capitelli and John Hannigan, better known as John Morrison to us. And that's his first ever pay-per-view match, by the way. The APA Invitational Barroom Brawl was John Morrison's pay-per-view debut.
Now that's a piece of trivia.
Yep. You have Matt Hardy version 1 along with his MFer Shannon Moore. And did you know, Tomas, that Matt hates bar fights? Yet he's in this bar fight. He's.
And you know what? I would like to throw out a very wholesome moment. Did you know that Matt Hardy loves Brother Nero?
That makes me so sad. But
he posted that on Instagram, and I'm not going to lie, I got choked up a little.
Yeah.
I'm glad Matt Hardy loves Brother Nero.
He sure does. As a matter of fact, he does. But speaking of love, you were probably very happy to see Brother Love, a.k.a. Bruce Pritchard, show up out of nowhere.
Actually, I was, because we don't see Brother Love a lot. We also get the return of Sean O'Hare. Remember him?
Yep.
The young prospect that was supposed to get a rocket strapped to him at the beginning of the year.
No Roddy Piper around him. Nope. He just shows up in his leather coat and his wrestling attire. His former tag team partner Chuck Palumbo, he doesn't even acknowledge. You also have Doink the Clown, who is actually played by Nick Dinsmore on this show, who would about 9 months later become Eugene. More on Eugene later.
This was kind of the return of Doink. Unfortunately, like we were discussing this before the podcast, this is not, as Zack just said, this is not the original Doink. Unfortunately, Matt Bourne had passed away, who originally played Doink in the 90s. And then there was just this revolving door of Doinks that people would play that character. My opinion, I think that was very in poor taste of WWE. The person who played this character passed away, and now they're just throwing the paint on somebody else. It's different when you have a guy like Sangata. Mystico's not dead, but if he did die, that would be in very poor taste to continue using the gimmick. And a very fun, weird fact that I brought up before we started recording was that when Rhino turned heel, Benoit had a segment on SmackDown where he called out Rhino. Rhino showed up on the Tron where he said, "You're not going to fight me tonight. You're going to fight Doink." And Doink turns heel and attacks Benoit. And there's a SmackDown match you probably forgot about.
Crispin Wah versus Nick Dinsmore in a Doink cosplay. We would get a lot of Crispin Wah and Eugene later on. Again, more on Eugene later. I can't wait to talk about him. But
Doink is a very interesting character in the WWE. So whenever he gets brought up, I like talking about his history because for such a simple gimmick like a clown, he was a big part of the 90s and a big part of that, that gimmick era. Out of all the shitty gimmicks they had, Doink was oddly the one that worked the most, especially when you had heel Doink.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you have heel Doink. But yeah, then you basically have the APA come out, and then Bradshaw explains the rules, and Brother Love takes his mic away, and he talks and talks and talks and talks and talks, and I'm like, oh my god, can you just get the fight already?
You could have went to the bathroom in the time it took for Brother Love to cut this godforsaken promo.
No, I remember as a kid, I was sitting there like, holy shit, is this guy ever going to be quiet? Am I ever going to see this fucking fight?
And even though I would like to see Brother Love get hit in the head with the bar stool, no, he picks it up, and I forgot who he hits with, but he smashes some weird masked tag team. I have no idea who they were.
Los Conquistadores.
Thank you. They get smashed with the bar stool. The fight is on. Don't try and pay attention to what's going on in this match because it's a whole lot of nothing. It's a whole lot of brawling. It's a whole lot of sugar glass getting smashed all over the place. There are some little bits and pieces here that we'd like to bring up. My favorite point in the match, Funaki is not getting attacked during this bar room. He is sitting at the bar, minding his own business,
he's just taking beers
his from away.
Like the referee is just handing him beer after beer after beer, and Funaki's just having a grand old time, you know?
Bradshaw goes to confront him. Funaki looks at him. He falls over, basically eliminating himself. That was really fun.
Bless his heart. The Easter Bunny, poor Easter Bunny was thrown through a plate glass window by Bradshaw.
Classic bar spot that you see in a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies. Bradshaw slides him across the bar, head first into, the glass. And it's that classic pose where he's just hanging, ass out to the crowd.
Yeah.
I'll admit that was funny. That got a chuckle out of me.
Sean O'Hare was doing some cool things with pool cues and like swinging them around like Steve Blackman would. But I mean, it just, do you want to talk about this Matt Hardy spot?
Matt Hardy
kind of weird.
Stacks up the Bashams on a table, and bless Matt Hardy's heart, he jumps off the bar and he lands on the Bashams, but the table does not break.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Hardy, being the very dedicated worker that he is, goes back on the bar, tries it again, and it kind of works, and then Matt just gives up. Like, this table's not going to break.
Sorta. Yeah, remember?
It's not going to break.
Remember when this guy was Cruiserweight champion not even a month ago? And now he's in the barroom brawl.
Thankfully, this wouldn't be the end for Matt Hardy. He would have a lot more to do. Stay tuned on that.
A lot more to do until he was traded over to Raw. But it's basically left over with both members of the APA and Brother Love, and basically Bradshaw just smashes Bruce Pritchard with a plate glass beer bottle, sending him to do some shitty booking in 2021, presumably. And the referee just proclaims Bradshaw the winner, even though I never saw Farouk go down once. Not once. Shouldn't both members of the APA win?
Yeah, but this is one of those matches that I hope you weren't keeping score at home, because this wasn't really anything. I mean,
no.
If I was at this pay-per-view, this would be I would go get a snack during this segment. Nothing really happened. Yeah. It was harmless, but nothing to write home about.
I can't really rate it. I mean, it's kind of like it's a way to get the whole roster on the show, basically.
It's harmless.
Yeah, it's harmless. Fun little sequence of violence in there, I guess. Shannon Moore took a fucking beating through a mirror also. I didn't even mention that part where he was thrown through a plate glass window.
Michael Cole asked, is this going to be an annual thing? And thank God it wasn't.
This was the one and only APA Invitational Barroom Brawl, because the next year Farouk would be retired and Bradshaw would be the WWE champion.
Yeah.
My, how times change. But
you know what? This is the beginning of Bradshaw's Odyssey too. Keep an eye on him going into this year.
Yes.
And and I was thinking, WWE may have been a little ahead of their time when it came to this thing. Could you imagine if they did this like today, but like in a cinematic style? Because JBL and Ron Simmons, they're still around.
I mean, they can still somewhat go. Yeah, and
I was gonna say, if you did this like in a cinematic style where you could protect both of them, they don't really have to do anything. Just throw a couple of punches. You see a clothesline, and then you could just get some guys on TV.
I mean, it could be.
I know
cool.
Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, didn't they just do a barroom brawl like in a cinematic style?
They sure did. I remember having a lot of fun with that too. But
in
any case, so I mean, it's like if it was an annual thing, it would probably be stupid for the first couple of years, and then you get into the PG era, and it kind of looks like, okay, they could do something cool with this, but
yeah,
I mean,
I'm surprised this never came up during like the JBL and Cole show or something like that. This is
yeah, right.
a little weird piece of history that never gets brought up.
A little weird, a little weird, or a lot of weird.
WWE knows how to laugh at themselves when it comes to like silly gimmicks because WWE still thinks the gobbledygooker is the fucking funniest thing in the world. Why not bring up someone like this?
I mean, yeah, but
they swear gobbledygooker is like the greatest inside joke in the world. I'm like, yes, we get it.
They swear
something stupid.
They swear the twist of it being Hornswoggle the whole time is the funniest thing in the world. So
yeah, they also still like to make fun of WCW over the Shocker. It's like, or the Shockmaster, and I'm just like, yeah, the Shockmaster's funny, but you guys swear like, haha, look what WCW did. Like you never did anything stupid.
Right.
The gobbledygooker.
Right. Exactly. Darn hypocrites. But anywho,
versus Shockmaster WrestleMania. Book it, man. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
No. You know he would actually do that too.
He will actually do that.
Yeah. So don't give him any ideas for when we go to WrestleMania, buddy. So
no, if he tries to do Shockmaster, Disney's just gonna sue him because that's a Stormtrooper. That's a Stormtrooper helmet. That'll never make it on TV.
unless Disney buys them out. But anywho, we're getting too ahead of ourselves. But why don't we talk about some good tag team wrestling for the WWE Tag Team Championships? The former Team Angle, now rechristened as the world's greatest tag team, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, broken off from a recently returned Kurt Angle. They're defending against the new Cruiserweight champion Rey Mysterio and his former partner from the Filthy Animals, Billy Kidman, which Michael Cole referenced on commentary. And I was like, again, I miss that sort of commentary where they allude to people's history in past promotions.
Yeah, like, could you imagine nowadays WWE like referencing, I don't know, MSK as former Impact wrestlers? Like they would never imagine WWE saying MSK, formerly known as the Rascals in Impact Wrestling. Like they would never do that.
Right, because they don't own Impact.
They would never do that.
They don't own Impact.
Yeah, and it's
so
just like it's so dumb. Like these guys had history somewhere else, and they swear like they're gonna combust into flames if they bring that up. And it's just like, I know they own WCW, and it makes a lot more sense for them to do it there, but why not give the rub to some of these other companies?
Yeah,
like, why not?
It's not cool, but
I know they use like footage from like Ring of Honor and stuff, but it's like, just because if you're not, you
like pictures from PWI. Pictures from PWI, but yeah, no, they reference the Filthy Animals. Rey Mysterio is fresh off of regaining the Cruiserweight Championship in his hometown of San Diego, by the way, from Matt Hardy version 1, main eventing SmackDown. But this was, honestly, Tomas, this is what I like to call a hidden gem. And if we have a hidden gem segment, this was a freaking awesome match. This crowd was
Billy Kidman
so into
was
it.
In that weird phase where he cut his hair and he had very unfitting theme music, which is a guilty pleasure.
I love that theme. Don't you dare start bashing that theme song.
I'm not bashing it. It was just very unfitting for him. It was very, you got to admit, it did not fit his character. Like I would listen to that theme and I was like, I don't think of Billy Kidman when I think of like Booker T or like Shelton Benjamin or like.
Well, Shelton would have a better theme song about a year after this. So
he would, but it's like, it was weird. It was. I remember bopping into the Theme Addict, and that was one of my favorite songs on that.
It was great
so
on that.
Don't think I'm not
called. It was like
Theme Addict.
Theme Addict. That was it. I was gonna say forcible entry, but I knew that was wrong. But
it had Kidman. It had Theodore Long's theme song, which is a bop. It had did it have Carlitos? Was that too late or too early?
I think it did. Have
it had Carlitos. It also had that hidden gem, that John Cena track, that Untouchables. Yeah, I had Untouchables on there that nobody talks about.
That would have been a heel theme song for John Cena, I think, in an alternate universe. But I mean, again, Billy Kidman, unfitting theme song. But what were your thoughts on the world's greatest tag team after they broke off from Kurt Angle? I think this was a great fit for them.
Excellent.
Yeah,
absolutely. They were the self-proclaimed world's greatest tag team, which was excellent heel work from them. Mm-hmm. Haas and Benjamin are an excellent tag team, and I'm glad WWE just didn't decide to break them off yet. Unfortunately, they would have the Jannetty Shawn Michaels effect that we will get into much, much later.
Yes.
But I will agree with you. This was a hidden gem. A little long at times and a little bit, I don't want to say overbooked, but like this could have ended a long time ago, kind of something like that.
They got 15 minutes. And honestly,
Excellent spots.
It did not feel like 15 minutes.
Yeah, and you know what? I can't complain when I'm sitting here saying with bad blood, all this shitty time dedicated to the redneck triathlon when it could have been given to other matches. Right. Well, you know what? SmackDown rectified that, and they gave the match a lot more time than you would expect it to. My favorite spot in the match was a very rare Billy Kidman shooting star press that looked beautiful for a change. He does a springboard shooting star off the middle rope, and it gets a holy shit chant, which was very rare for back in the day.
Well deserved. Absolutely. Especially in the mid card. It was very rare to get a holy shit chant. But
so bravo, Kidman, for actually performing a pretty good shooting star for a change.
Yeah, there were so many close 2 counts in this. Billy Kidman was hitting that BK bomb, which was almost like a spine buster. There were actually, I think there were 2 hot tags in this because Ray was kind of getting heat in the early part of the match.
That was my only issue with the match. I hate when they do that. We don't need 2 hot tags. It just drags out the match even longer.
What else are they supposed to do? I mean, if it's going to go 15 minutes, they got to fill it with something. They can't just have the heat.
This has always bugged me about early tag team wrestling psychology. It's like you get that hot tag, and then if you're able to snuff out the momentum of the other team, I just don't get why teams don't go for the finish and then they just do a random move and have the match keep going. Like, you've already done your damage and you've already done like the working portion of the match.
Okay.
Shouldn't you kind of be going straight for the finish? If you snuff out the momentum, don't you want to win the match, not just continue the punishment? You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, no. I definitely see what you're saying, man. And it's definitely a valid, but I don't know, man.
It's one of those you have to see. You have to see to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like, I feel like that honestly made the match better just because, like, if the heat was on, for example, if Billy Kidman just got heat for 10 minutes and then Ray just made a fiery hot tag and that was it, like, it would have been kind of boring, honestly. I would have been kind of disappointed that I didn't get enough Rey Mysterio.
I would more expect out of a huge grudge tag team match than I would see out of a tag team title match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's a weird comparison? That weird Cena and Michaels versus Taker Batista match from like 2007. That's where I would expect something like that, just because it's 4 main eventers in a tag team match. In a tag team title match, and maybe I'm just spoiled by tag team wrestling of today, I just don't like seeing, it slowed down so much. And I kind of like the 40 moves a minute kind of style with that. And I know they did that a lot in this match. And
Rey Mysterio was all over the fucking place in this. He was in fucking orbit. He was, Billy Kidman was launching him onto the top rope where Shelton was waiting for him, and Mysterio hits a beautiful looking Frankensteiner. And that crowd bought that as the finish, hook, line, and sinker. Rey Mysterio's covering Shelton, and then the referee goes down for 3, and he's like inches off the mat. Shelton kicks out, and the crowd starts chanting bullshit at that because they thought that was the finish. They wanted these faces to take home the gold. They wanted Rey Mysterio to walk out with 2 titles, but spoiler alert, my friends, that was not meant to be. I mean, as great as the near falls were, Mysterio is hitting 619s on Charlie Haas. There were jawbreakers everywhere. But then you get Charlie Haas picking up Rey Mysterio on his shoulders, and then Shelton does like I don't want to call it a doomsday device, but you know what I mean? Like, Shelton comes off the top, and then
it was like a powerbomb neckbreaker combination, which looked pretty good. It was smooth move.
Really good, really smooth wrestling throughout from all 4. But Shelton ends up pinning Rey Mysterio. Billy Kidman was inches away from stopping the 3 count. And Michael Cole was like yelling at the official. He was like, wait, Shelton's not the legal man. But then they show the replay and they show the blind tag, and lo and behold, the world's greatest tag team retained the titles. All the better.
I'm glad world's greatest tag team retained, because even though the match was really good, Kidman and Mysterio was still a random tag team, and I would have been very upset if they won the tag team titles.
Not exactly. If they were the Filthy Animals, if they were the Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions for a short time in WCW.
But in this WWE universe,
I mean, I see what you're saying. Well, if Mysterio and Kidman are a random tag team, then Mysterio and Edge are a random tag team too.
Oh, absolutely they are.
Yeah, if Mysterio and Edge are a random tag team, then that means Edge and Hollywood Hulk Hogan are a random tag team.
God damn you!
Reminding you who the tag champs were at the previous Vengeance that we talked about.
It's never gonna end.
It's It's never going to end. But this tag team title match, lo and behold, was way better than Hogan and Edge versus the Un-Americans. I'm comfortable giving it 4. If honestly someone were to argue that this was the match of the night, I wouldn't blame them. This was really fucking great. You know,
I'll give it 3 3/4. It was very it exceeded just by looking at this match. I'd be like, this looks like your standard tag team match.
This is my hidden
better
gem.
Than a lot better than La Resistance versus Scott Steiner and Test.
A lot better than La Resistance versus RVD and Kane at Bad Blood the month before. So
no
5-star frog splash.
Yep.
So
we get weird to the weirder. How do I just? Oh, it's Sable versus Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah.
Why? Because Vince is a dirty bastard.
Yeah, Vince is a dirty bastard, and Stephanie wants no part of Sable at all.
It's a very, 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 very rare and strange, very weird and rare occurrence of Stephanie's a babyface, kind of rebelling against her dad.
She was
not like a babyface as in the alliance kind of angle kind of thing, like just anti-authority towards her dad. No, this is straight up Stephanie telling her dad that he's wrong.
I got a question for you, Tomas. How jarring was it to hear the crowd pop for Stephanie like they did?
It was very weird. And how come Stephanie had this one look in this 1 year, and then it was weird. Like looking at Stephanie, I was like, what? It was a weird time warp moment for me.
Yeah, it was a weird time warp, and she comes out to a bop of a theme song in her own right, which was on that WWE Anthology CD that came out, I want to say, back in 2002.
Yes, they had the Golden Years album, they had the Attitude Era, and then they had the Present, and they had Lesnar's theme song. It had that one. I think it had Cena's, and I think Cena's theme song was like the selling point of that album. It had Taker's, both versions of Taker's theme song, which I thought was a very nice touch.
Yes.
Nowadays, WWE just erases other versions of theme songs and pretends they don't exist.
God.
But this was really cool. Anyway, they had both versions of The Undertaker on there. I'm getting ahead of myself.
As Sable was walking to the ring, did you notice Stephanie's death glare as she was walking down there? It was fucking terrifying.
My biggest issue with this match, I did not like how it was being advertised as a cat fight. I didn't like that.
No.
It didn't need that. This is not yes, both Sable and Stephanie are very attractive, but it's not about that. Like this is not what this is about.
This is about family drama. Family drama. So
it's a grudge match. It should have been called a grudge match. Sable is this terrible person trying to rip their family apart, and Stephanie is, believe it or not, the endearing babyface in this. She's the one that's standing up to her father, and she wants to just beat the hell out of Sable.
Yeah.
Why can't you just book it like that, WWE? If I'm going to give WWE credit, that's how that would get booked today.
It really wasn't that great of a match either. I hate to say it. I mean, they were brawling into the crowd, and like Sable wanted no part of Stephanie at first because
Believe
of that death glare,
if they would have let Sable and Stephanie actually wrestle this match, I don't think it would have been half bad.
No, especially if you were to like attach another stipulation other than no count out cat fight. How about no disqualification? If it's that big of a grudge match.
If you want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of limit Sable, because I know I defend Sable as a wrestler, but I know there's a lot of people say that she can't. If you wanted to kind of mask those weaknesses, you should have made it a street fight. Get some weapons involved. They could have just brawled around the arena. I know they were only given 6 minutes, but you could have done something with that 6 minutes. But I didn't hate this match, but at the same time, they weren't really given the freedom to do a lot. They were just booking as oh my God, it's a cat fight. It's a cat fight. And it's just like, no, this isn't, like I said, it's not the point of this match.
Yes.
If WWE was thinking sex sells, which Vince, that's your daughter. If WWE is thinking sex sells, that's not the point of this match.
That's 2003 for you, though. I mean, they were advertising a bikini contest for Judgment Day not even 2 months before. So, like, if they're advertising this as a cat fight in 2003, don't be surprised. But Stephanie was dominating this for the majority. And then, like, with 30 seconds of the match left, Brian, referee, was giving Sable his referee shirt because Steph was trying to, pull off the top and release the goods and all that stuff, much to the crowd's delight.
Why not? What this match is about
2003. But yeah, but since the referee was occupied with Sable, then we get a wild A-Train running out to the ring, not hitting Stephanie with a derailleur, but he just runs her over like a fucking train, like a Mack truck. That's what he is. He's a train. He just runs her down.
If there's one thing I want to compliment Stephanie on is her willingness to take bumps, because she took that like a champ.
She really from A-Train, who is a intimidating man, to say the very least.
I could totally see Stephanie going up to Matt Bloom backstage and just saying, "Don't hold back, just run me down. Do not hold back."
But yeah, that one move, and then Sable runs over and pins Stephanie, and that's it. Sable wins. Star for effort. That's mainly for Stephanie taking that bump from A-Train. But
also, I think this was the precursor to Undertaker A-Train at SummerSlam.
It sure
is.
Undertaker
was just.
It sure is.
Just Undertaker coming to the rescue of Stephanie, so they fight.
What the fuck? What the fuck? I mean, what does Undertaker have to do with this big? Well, I mean, it would basically play into the end of this American Badass. Speaking of the Undertaker, okay, yeah. So here we go. I know everybody in the arena was excited for the advertised main event of everybody. Like, you know, the triple threat was the main event to the people in the arena. But to a lot of people like us, the main event at Vengeance was Undertaker John Cena. You know, everybody likes my reference to his freestyle, I'm hoping. But let's talk about how over John Cena was at this point. Like, he had just come off a WWE Championship failure against Brock Lesnar, but he looks pretty strong in defeat. And then he starts picking on the big dog in the yard. And all this freestyle, like all this talk about respect. There's a freestyle he does in a graveyard. Runs down the Undertaker. I'm going to prove the big dog is all bark. I'm going to claim my territory and piss right on the mark. Great stuff.
From 03, I want to say to like 09, they were doing this great thing on SmackDown that if you tried to say you're the greatest SmackDown star of all time, gong, there's the Undertaker. You don't say that shit because you're not. SmackDown's greatest star is the Undertaker. So Cena basically said that, like, there's no one else here to fight me. Undertaker, yeah, you can fight me.
Yeah, you sure can. And the match was being billed also as old school legend versus new school John Cena, which I think is great. John Cena
That's a
also
weird statement to say nowadays.
In a match that I completely forgot about, on John Cena's anniversary of answering the open challenge from one Kurt Angle, he issues an open challenge of his own. And Tomas and I were joking about this earlier. Who would answer the call but Orlando Jordan, who was in the APA Ballroom Brawl earlier, and I didn't even mention. But in an alternate universe, Orlando Jordan is the biggest star on WWE's docket. Like,
yeah.
Could you imagine?
You know, it's weird how we were just talking about this with Carmelo Hayes, because they're doing the John Cena thing with him too. Mm-hmm. You can't put that kind of pressure on a wrestler like that because it's not going to work. You can't give your hopes up. You can't put all your eggs in one basket per se when it comes to stars. Cena was not an overnight sensation. He says that himself. He has said in documentaries and biographies that he was this close to getting fired. Remember that. It took this gimmick right here to save his career. In an alternate universe, John Cena didn't work. No. John Cena got fired. John Cena probably went to go wrestle for someone else and then decided to give up and go back to playing football. So
probably, or bodybuilding.
That kind of pressure on a wrestler, yeah, I don't think it's fair. Cena was not an overnight sensation. Cena is in a class of his own. Not saying another wrestler can't reach that status, but to say, oh, this is how Cena did it, so that's how you can do it, it's not fair. And I feel like they kind of did that with Jordan.
It's not fair to put people on a pedestal like that. And look where Orlando Jordan ended up. That's someone else to keep your eye on as we go through this next year of retrospective content, is Orlando Jordan. But yeah, we do get Undertaker and John Cena. Undertaker comes out in the motorbike, stops at the top of the ramp, and he decides to take the long walk to the ring and make John.
I love that. Love it, love it, love it.
So great. And Tomas loves this match as well. I mean, I really, really liked it, but Tomas is like, he's saying it's a hidden gem. I mean,
it is a hidden gem.
You know,
from start to finish,
it's a hidden gem.
I was studying this match, and to see the ring psychology and kind of Taker guiding Cena through this match, kind of just letting the kid go, like, this is your time to shine. Show me what you got. and I'm just going to go with what you want. And it was a lot of Cena. They said it was the shoulder at first, but Cena was very much zeroing in on the ribs. It started off as your general. Taker had a lot of the momentum in the beginning of this match, and it took until Cena started targeting those ribs, where that was basically Taker saying, like, show me what you got, kid. This whole section of the match is going to be you. And Cena took that ball and he ran with it.
He totally did. He showed what this in a lot of people's minds was John Cena's coming out party if his match against Brock Lesnar at Backlash wasn't. This is how he really got the respect of everybody, I want to say. Literally, out of The Undertaker. And I believe the spot you're referring to where The Undertaker had his ribs hurt and he was selling those phenomenally throughout the match, Cena exposed the turnbuckle like the dastardly heel that the Doctor of Thugonomics was at first, which is so weird for me to say, John Cena as a heel. But Taker goes ribs first into the exposed buckle. He's spitting blood up, and I'm sure that was gimmicked. I mean, I don't want to say it was gimmicked. I mean,
also prior to that spot, Taker went for the last ride. Cena countered with a DDT that Taz popped for. He thought that was like the greatest DDT ever, and he was scolding Cena for not going for the pin. And I'm just like, you do know The Undertaker? I don't think a DDT is going to keep him down, but
no,
whatever, Taz.
whatever too. It's
don't come at me, Taz. Good. I know you're a very angry person in real life. Please don't come after me.
Yes, yeah,
don't
absolutely.
send Hook after me.
No Hook. Don't send Hook. Don't send Hook.
Don't send Hook.
But Undertaker does his gimmicked clothesline, but he doesn't leap all the way because he's a ring general selling his ribs. The crowd is chanting too, along with the big 2 counts. And other than them chanting boring at Crispin Wah and Eddie Guerrero, this crowd in Denver is really good. I mean, I don't know why WWE hasn't gone back and done a pay-per-view over there, but in any regard, John Cena goes and does the FU. Apparently that was where the match was supposed to end, but then the big man in the chair in gorilla position got chicken shit and didn't put John Cena over at this point. And so the report is that John Cena was supposed to win this match, and that The Undertaker would have gladly done it on the grand stage that is Vengeance, but that didn't happen. Undertaker kicked out at 2, and then John Cena does not learn anything from past, Undertaker classics on pay-per-view. He's doing the corner punches, then he does the pose, the Doctor of Thugonomics pose to the crowd, and then out of nowhere Taker hits him with the last ride.
And that's the ending of the match. That was rare to me, seeing Taker win with that move. This was an excellent match. It gets all the praise I think it deserves. I believe on Cena's first ever compilation DVD, which came out oddly enough, I think the same year. It was that weird time where WWE was just taking stars, and it doesn't matter how long of a career they had, they were giving them like these DVD sets, and Cena got one. And this match was on that set, and that's how I remember this match.
Van Dam, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero all got DVDs. Johnson, I know which one you're talking about, and that's one I did not end up adding to my collection when I had it.
Taught you how to rap. It was weird.
Yeah, no, it was interesting.
Speaking of that, before I get into my final thoughts about this match, just because it popped in my mind, speaking of the Rey Mysterio one, I had this little device. It was called a juice box. And it was this it was like a video. It was like a Game Boy, but you didn't play games on it. You just played little videos on it. And I got one for Christmas. And my mom got me the Rey Mysterio one. So it was basically his 619 documentary minus the matches. So you got the documentary portion. And I remember watching it on this little tiny pixelated screen. And it had highlights from the Mysterio Edge versus Benoit angle of the finals for the tag team titles.
Yeah.
And that's how I know that match so well, just from that little documentary.
So good. Yeah. But
we have better documentaries like the WWE's Biggest Little Man.
Yeah.
So if you want a Rey Mysterio compilation, get that one. If you want a John Cena, there's far better John Cena compilations. There's My Life.
John Cena's DVDs haven't been that great though. Like,
there's been My Life. There's been the John Cena Experience. That if you still don't have the respect for Cena, that one was made in 2010. Go watch that. Watch that. Drop what you're doing and go watch that if you still don't respect Cena. That was 11 years ago, and it blew my mind.
Crazy. But yeah, Word Life. Yeah, that DVD came around
Word
came
Life,
out around this time.
Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, it was called Word Life. I know that. It was like orange and orange case, but
Oh my
Cena
God.
Cena looked great in this match. I'm comfortable giving it like 3.5, maybe 3 3/4. It's a very good brawl, very physical match. Undertaker took an
I give it
absolute
4.
beating for this. 4, really?
I give it 4. Yeah, I
Wow.
really like this match.
I mean, hey, more power to you. More power to
Yeah,
you. I mean,
a couple weeks later on SmackDown, no, the following week on SmackDown, they had a rematch, and they were billing it really big as this is the Vengeance rematch because we just got this match on pay-per-view, so to put this match again on TV was a pretty big deal, and Cena got the win that time. And I feel like that SmackDown match was actually more important than this match right here.
mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, I still wish that Vince McMahon would have followed through with the decision to have John Cena win. Apparently, Vince changed his mind the day of Vengeance to have his protected guy like Undertaker go over here, which was not a popular decision backstage, apparently. But lo and behold, that's what we got. And it was a really, really damn great match still. But this would, of course, not be the end for one Jonathan Q. Cena. But in any regard, speaking of Vince McMahon,
this pay-per-view had a weird structure of really good match, really weird match, really good match, really weird match. So here we go. It's Vince McMahon versus the biggest underdog in the biggest underdog story of the company right now in Zack Gowen. We were just talking about Gowen earlier in the retrospective. He is the kid with the one leg that got exposed by Roddy Piper. He was in Mr. America's Corner during that match. Yeah. Apparently, this kid has a really good story. He wants to be a professional wrestler. He had cancer, and he had to get his leg amputated to avoid it spreading to the rest of his body. Mm-hmm. It's really one of your feel-good stories of the year. And they took this storyline, put it on TV, and they made Vince look like the biggest bastard on planet Earth.
He did.
Saying things like, you are not even a real man. You only have one leg. And the quote of the night that makes my skin crawl, you may have survived cancer, but you will not survive me. Oh my God.
Yeah, Vince was an evil prick. I was so behind Zack Gowen in this, not just because of that inspiring story, which I still think to this very day is still the most inspiring story in wrestling history. Overcoming osteosarcoma, I believe it was, and then, becoming a pro wrestler. Still a pro wrestler on the indie circuit. He often teams up with Gregory Irons, who has cerebral palsy, as the handicapped heroes. It's a great, great story. He gives motivational speeches still around the world. He was on American Ninja Warrior for a spell, which is an inspiring video to watch. If you guys need to uplift your spirits, go watch Zack Gowen's run on American Ninja Warrior. But the weird thing about this match, number one, the age difference. Zack Gowen was just 20 years old at the time. Vince McMahon would, a month after this, be 58 years old. So crazy to think about.
Absolutely. Also, the story on
could have been fighting his
story
dad
on
there.
SmackDown. Okay, so I know there was a match. I forgot what it was for. It was in the hype package, and I forgot. Zack Gowen had to defeat Big Show with Stephanie as his partner, and then Lesnar and Angle helped him win the match. And then Gowen hit that big moonsault on the Big Show. It's honestly one of my most favorite moments on SmackDown because Gowen is, again, it's a feel-good story. And the shit that Vince and Sable were saying to him just made my blood boil. You're not even a real man. Oh my God.
And then Zack Gowen, when I was a little kid, I was looking at him, like hearing him say, "I spit on your apology." And I was like, yes, this kid is awesome. Not just because he's like my same namesake, even though his version is spelled incorrectly. But in any case, like this is honestly, it's fun. I mean, I really liked this match, Tomas. I don't know about you. It was
booked very well, except one thing, and I'll get to that in the end. I don't remember enjoying this match as much as I did looking back on it, but it was just booked perfectly. I think Vince booked this match very well, making himself look like this evil son of a bitch.
Vince was doing some chain wrestling here. He was doing a waistlock takeover and body slams, and like he was putting the work in. I couldn't believe it.
Giving Gowen a lot of respect that he would wrestle without the prosthetic on. Cole and Taz making reference throughout the match, like, we don't want to be insensitive, but this is going to be really hard because if Vince takes out his one good leg, the one leg that Gowen has, it's game over for him.
Yeah.
Vince has, they didn't make distasteful comments, but they would reference throughout the match like, guys, Vince has 2 legs and Gowen has 1. How is he going to be able to do this?
Yeah.
And Gowen says, I'll fucking show you how.
They were calling
and
it like they
Vince
saw it.
to the limit.
Yeah, he does a fucking Asai moonsault, which is a crazy spot to see. He does a nice leg drop with his the one Billy Gunn leg, but it's a good match. I mean, there was a lot of good selling. Vince was posting Gowen's good leg. It was like it was really,
Gowen
really
comes
good.
back and he posts Vince's leg, gives him a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah, Vince does a obvious single leg motherfucking Boston Crab on Zack Gowen. And Gowen is selling it like he's banging his fist on the apron trying to get to the rope, and like the crowd really wants him to win. He hit his one-legged moonsault twice, I think. Not once, but twice.
And that's where my biggest issue with the match is. The wrong person won.
Yeah.
Why did Vince need to win this match? That's my biggest issue.
It's a build me up for my feud with my daughter at No Mercy.
Yeah, considering what happens at No Mercy, and I like to call that the villains party, but more on that later.
Yeah.
There was no reason for Vince to win this match.
Really wasn't any reason for Vince to win this. But, Gowen hits his one-legged moonsault. Vince gets his foot on the rope for a great near fall, admittedly. Gowen should have won with that second moonsault, though, especially after Vince had brought the chair into play, and Gowen drop kicked the chair into Vince's face, and Vince legit gigs for this kid. Like, Vince was bleeding everywhere. Even though it was a normal match, Vince will find a way to blade. Like, give him credit. Give him credit. I mean, he's a fucking lunatic.
That's all. I will give Vince all the credit in the world in this match for putting Gowen over, except for actually putting him over.
Right. Gowen does the one-legged moonsault. He misses, and then Vince just crawls over and pins him. Like, at least hit a move, Vince. Come on. It was... This match was tough to rate, but you know what? I got to give it 3. I can't believe I'm saying it. I can't believe
it was very fun. Maybe it would have got a little more if Gowen actually would have won the match.
It's a very gutsy showing from Zack Gowen, to say the very least. And the crowd deservedly gave him a standing ovation just because the kid put on a show.
Unfortunately, it would get worse for Gowen because, spoiler alert, a freshly turned heel Brock Lesnar would fucking murder this kid on TV.
In his hometown.
Annihilate him.
In his hometown, right in front of his mother, sitting in the front row.
Yeah.
What a bastard.
Lesnar has come up with 2 new vicious moves, one being an F5 against the steel post, and he does it not once, but twice to this kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they're wheeling him out of the arena, he shoves him down a flight of stairs. Could you bury this kid even more?
Yeah, more on that later, indeed. But, Zack Gowen definitely gave a gutsy performance in this, but we got one more match to go, even though there was, damn near 3 instant classic matches. Well, one, in your opinion, with Taker and Cena. I thought it was very good, but, our main event is a triple threat match for the 2nd year in a row at Vengeance for the WWE title. Brock Lesnar is defending against The Big Show and a freshly returned Kurt Angle, who came back from neck surgery way too fucking early.
2 months.
Yeah.
They call this guy a cyborg for a reason.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He was very much on the painkillers around this time. Unfortunate to say. It was way too fucking obvious that, this guy should have at least took a year off. But,
at least. But Angle was a stubborn motherfucker back then.
He really was. He really was. As much as we love the guy.
Revolving around this was Angle's back. He's a freshly turned babyface because apparently Brock Lesnar visited him in the hospital. He would call him every day just to make sure that he was okay after the WrestleMania match. Angle and Lesnar want to get it on one more time. Not so fast, says The Big Show. And now it's a triple threat.
Now it's a triple threat. Because keep in mind, there was a WWE title match on a June episode of SmackDown, which will always live in infamy in 2003. Brock and The Big Show had a match for the title, which never got a conclusive finish because the ring fucking imploded on a superplex. And that is a spot that they have tried to replicate so many times to no avail. And it will never be as magical as that superplex was when Brock got the Big Show up there.
Big Show and Mark Henry did it fine enough. I think they did. Because you would expect Big Show and Henry to do something like that.
That should have just
you didn't like when Strowman and Big Show did it?
It was, I mean, well, Strowman standing up after that was pretty fucking cool. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, this is, can't top the original. No way, no how.
You didn't like when The Undertaker made the ring break and
no!
Royal Rumble 2006?
No, I didn't like that at all, because that's the reason why Kurt Angle and Mark Henry went on last, and I will always fucking resent WWE for that, not having Mysterio end of the show on top. But
you didn't like when Cena and Alberto did a last man standing match in a broken ring?
It's bad enough that it was a last man standing match, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. I mean, chances are, if Kurt Angle was not cleared to compete, chances are it probably would have been Brock versus Big Show in a last man standing match for the title. But I mean, I know, disappointed you.
Also, I love how Big Show was like, not so fast. Brock Lesnar's beaten me 3 times now, but I deserve one more shot at the title because I'm Vince McMahon's newest bitch.
A Big Show.
He was.
He really was. And apparently Michael Cole said Big Show was on a roll after having 3 victories over both Lesnar and Angle on TV. And I'm like, okay.
But Big Show said, not so fast. One time I did a thing, so I deserve a title shot.
And I was like, big whoop. He's not winning this match. But give him credit. They made him look like a fucking monster. Like,
oh, they did.
Kurt and Brock were double teaming this guy to no end, and Big Show fucking does the double suplex, and I was fucking blown away by that as a kid. I never thought that was possible. Yeah, but they made Big Show look like a fucking monster in this, dude. Like, I don't know, like, I mean, if Big Show had won when I was a kid, I would have been like, okay, this would have been great. But in any case, these 3 just played their role.
Oh yeah, this is probably one of the better credible times for Show to win the title. But
yeah,
you know how nowadays they're just like, you know, with Big E and Drew McIntyre, or Big E and Lashley, or like these big, as Big E would put it, big men slapping meat kind of matches. I feel like this was kind of the precursor to that kind of stuff, because they were just throwing each other around in this match, absolutely look painful and impactful as much as possible. Obviously, Lesnar and Angle, they're wrestling machines. Big Show's tossing them around. They're actually tossing around Big Show, because think about it. Lesnar and Angle were the only 2 consistent people before Cena that were lifting up Big Show like it was nothing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Kurt was like German suplexing both guys. They made it a point. They emphasized so that there's no disqualifications in this. So we should not have been surprised when Kurt Angle walked in with a trash can lid and he handed one to Brock, and they were ping-ponging Big Show back and forth with him. But then they get Big Show up for a double choke slam, and I'm like, give me more stolen finishers.
Yeah.
Give me more. I want Kurt Angle to hit it.
So that means you can't wait until next year when Big Show starts using the F500?
That's fucking right. Give me more stolen finishers.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
You know, blatantly being like, oh, Brock Lesnar's not on the roster, but we'll have someone doing F5. But,
yeah,
you know, just be blatantly obvious about it. Why don't you? But, speaking of F5s, hits one on Angle. Angle rolls away out of the ring, so Brock doesn't pin him. F5's Big Show, which is almost like an attitude adjustment at this point, because Big Show really does not spin and land on his face. He instead lands on his back, which is still impressive. It's still impressive enough that Brock actually got him up. But
lifting someone over your shoulders, over your head, a 500-pound man, and then spinning them, that's a feat in its own right. Even when Angle would just lift him off of the ground to slam him right back down is pretty damn impressive.
Absolutely. But Big Show hits a gigantic leg drop. Kurt Angle is busted open off the ring post. But then it's like, Taz was talking about what a freaking edible this guy is, Cole. Talking about Brock Lesnar just like lifting Big Show up like he's nothing, like a sack of potatoes, just tossing him around.
At least he didn't call him the vanilla gorilla.
Easy. No, we're not doing that. But
I'm sure when Taz made that call on Mania, the first thing Finn says, like, don't you ever call him that ever again.
No.
Vanilla gorilla.
Not doing that. Not doing that. But Brock Lesnar took a licking with that steel chair, didn't he? Angle hit him square in the face with it. Like, and Brock gigged on it. Obviously, he had to. But there was a really sweet sequence on the outside where Big Show has Angle for a choke slam on the floor. Angle spins out of it, and he angle slams Big Show through the announce table. That was sweet. There were a lot of sweet Kurt Angle counters in this. Spinning out of a Big Show choke slam into an ankle lock. It was really great. Really great.
Once Big Show was out of the equation, it's kind of like Angle and Lesnar rolled back in the ring and said, all right, it's down to me and you. Let's get it on like we originally intended. Their exchange was absolutely beautiful. It was chain wrestling to perfection all the way until they were on the top rope and Angle was able to counter into an ankle lock. Michael Cole very fittedly saying, I've never seen an ankle lock perform that way. That was absolutely amazing.
Yep. There was a point where Brock sells a German suplex with a backflip and landing on his face.
That was, oh my God.
How the fuck did he do that? How the fuck did he do that? You know, a near 300-pound man doing a backflip on a German suplex. Like, it's Brock Lesnar is awesome, gang. I'm sorry. He's awesome.
Hey, Kurt, watch me do shooting star.
Oh, no. No shooting star press. We're not doing that. But then we get...
Hey, Paul, my buddy Ricochet taught me this one.
Oh, no.
Brock in 2022.
Brock in 2022 doing a 630. Could you imagine?
Yeah, my buddy Ricochet taught me this.
If Brock does a 630 splash, I will fucking pass out, you know, but, so Big Show comes back into the equation and he hits a double choke slam on both guys. He goes to pin Brock. Brock kicks out, and Big Show, with the look and sell of the match, he gets the 2 count and he's like, He goes over and pins Kurt Angle, tries that out, and then Brock breaks it up. And Show looks at him, and the funniest line the entire show, son of a bitch!
And Taz says, well, yeah, what Big Show said.
Yep. And then Brock Lesnar hits Show right in the penis, and Big Show is eliminated from the equation. You get right back to Angle and Brock with a nice little sequence. There's an ankle lock that you referred to as Brock was standing up. Outstanding. Big Show breaks up the ankle lock. But then the ending, I don't know. It just, is it me or did it feel kind of anticlimactic? Because Kurt Angle hits...
It didn't feel anticlimactic. Yeah, Angle hits the Angle slam and Angle wins. I didn't feel that was anticlimactic. I'm surprised Lesnar took the pin. This felt exactly like a Big Show was there to take the pin kind of scenario.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, the way they were booking Big Show in this match, I'm honestly kind of glad that Big Show didn't take the pin because he looks like a fucking monster in defeat. Like, he didn't have to take the pin. Like, Brock Lesnar, like, wasn't... Like, keep in mind, this is the Brock Lesnar that was, oddly enough, the white meat babyface that Vince was trying to push as his next Hulk Hogan. Brock had not broken the streak at this point, so he could easily take a pinfall loss. So, in any case, like, I'm kind of glad that Kurt pinned Brock, and, like, they're kind of... It's a friendly rivalry. It's kind of like, okay, Kurt has Brock's number, but...
So... Kurt Angle has regained the WWE Championship, but you said friendly rivalry. That ends so fucking fast because it is revealed that Brock Lesnar is Vince McMahon's new hired gun. I think Vince fights Kurt Angle in a steel cage, and that's where Lesnar comes in and absolutely annihilates Angle. There's your big double turn for the summer. Lesnar's a heel once again. Angle's a babyface now, and Mr. McMahon is more powerful than ever. He's got Big Show on his side. He's got Brock Lesnar on his side. And now this absolute, like we said before, he's a monster. He's absolutely demolishing Gowen. He's demolishing Stephanie. And now it's the hero Angle trying to keep this WWE Championship from this monster Lesnar. There's your SummerSlam WWE Championship match, by the way. It's a match that not a lot of people talk about.
Right. And stay tuned for when we talk about SummerSlam next month, my friends, as we continue this retrospective. But Kurt Angle wins the WWE Championship for the 4th time in his career. Here's a fun little stat. Every single time Kurt has won the WWE Championship, it's been on a B-level pay-per-view. No Mercy 2000.
Yep.
Unforgiven 2001, Armageddon 2002, and now Vengeance 2003, my friends. Those are all B-level shows.
Never at a Rumble, never at a Mania, never at a SummerSlam.
Nope. He's main evented WrestleManias for the title, but he's never like won a championship match at Mania. But this is a great triple threat match. I'm comfortable giving it 4.25 stars. The Big Show looked like a fucking monster. Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle played their roles to perfection as well. Not nearly on the level of the triple threat at last year's Vengeance in this retrospective with Angle, Rock, and Undertaker, but this was still a damn good amount of fun and a really good main event too. Really great show.
And we will be getting, oh yeah, absolutely. And from here on, and like we talked about, and this would really culminate at Survivor Series, more on that later. This is more of like Mr. McMahon and his team of evil monsters going up against the rebellious baby faces. Kurt Angle's in there. Crispin Wah is going to jump into the fray. John Cena is going to get into a feud with Angle later on, where Angle basically teaches Cena some respect, and Cena would come to the good side and be part of the babyface team. Unfortunately, Undertaker tries to get involved, but he kind of becomes Vince and Lesnar's bitch for a little bit. It's a very interesting dynamic that we're going to see on SmackDown for a bit. In my opinion, a hell of a lot more entertaining than what they're going to do on Raw, minus Kane and Shane, which we will get into as well.
Oh, yeah, and I'm super excited to get into that last man standing match, as if I wasn't annoyed enough at the last man standing match we had to talk about. Jesus fucking Christ.
That also involves Kane.
That also involves Kane. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself. Vengeance 2003 is honestly one of the top 3 shows of this like whole year of retrospectives here. It's freaking awesome. You have a great opening match, which is the match of the night, Eddie and Benoit. You have a great triple threat at main event. Undertaker and Cena is a great brawl. I mean, the tag team title match is a hidden gem. I mean, even the lesser matches on the show, Sable and Stephanie, meh. McMahon and Gowen is really fun. Yes, absolutely. Even the APA Barroom Brawl Invitational was fun enough. It's a harmless little sequence.
And if you don't like Noble and Gunn, then just skip it. It was harmless. It went 5 minutes.
It went 5 minutes. It really doesn't take up a whole lot of your time. But Tomas, final thoughts on Vengeance.
It's not plagued with issues. Yeah. It's not plagued with issues like Bad Blood did. There's no redneck triathlon. There's no Steiner versus Cass. There's no Rodney Mack and Christopher Nowitzki in an ass backwards angle with the Dudley Boys. There's no underwhelming Hell in a Cell match. And, and you think about it this way. I liked the ending to Eddie Benoit a hell of a lot more than I did the ending to Shawn Michaels Ric Flair. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah. Michaels Flair was the match of the night on that show. But, I mean, Vengeance 2003, it really doesn't SmackDown was great.
I'd give this show an 8.5. Very solid, very good matches. Yeah. This is definitely a show. We've been saying a lot of one match shows, but this is not. This has a lot of stuff from beginning to end that I definitely think is worth, opening up that Peacock account, open up this pay-per-view. It's worth it.
It's a great pay-per-view from the Ruthless Aggression era that not very many people are talking about right now. So definitely has our stamp of approval. It's an 8.5 from me, A- on the Wrestling with Regret scale. But I mean, I dug it. But yeah, my friends, we do have a big smorgasbord of AEW All Elite to talk about. I wish you guys all a happy holiday as well. We'll be talking about Holiday Bash. Winter is coming, all that fun stuff. Next month, we got SummerSlam. We got SummerSlam 2003, rather. You got Day 1, which is an interesting show. Nice fatal four-way there with a re-signed Kevin Owens. Gonna win the WWE Championship. Mark my words. I want him to.
All right. We'll see. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
I mean, I would love it. I would love it for him. But you got Day 1, you got the Royal Rumble also, which is fantastic. And I will be putting out a poll for a retro Royal Rumble for Tomas and I to look at on the road to the Rumble itself.
Love me a Royal Rumble match.
Oh,
the beginning of the year is my favorite time of the year.
Yes, absolutely. And we get 2 Rumble matches for the men and the women. Probably not going to be Bianca Belair winning back-to-back, but we'll see what happens, my friends. But if you guys are new, smash that subscribe button and that thumbs up. What the heck are you waiting for? Lots of exciting stuff to look forward to. I'm also going to be looking at my the holiday new releases in the theater, the Matrix Resurrections. You got the tragedy of, the Scottish tragedy and all that fun stuff. But,
I haven't seen Spider-Man yet.
Nope.
I'm seeing it on Thursday.
Nope. I've seen it twice, and I want to see it a third time.
Ooh, okay.
That's fucking good.
Just a couple more days. And I'll see Spider-Man, and I'll let you know how I feel about it. I watched Homecoming last night. I'm fucking ready. I'm going to watch Far From Home before I leave. I'm fucking ready.
There you go. All right, we'll commence that back talk, my friends, and see you for the next one.